Hey guys, what is going on? It is me, your good buddy Sam, and it's time for another exciting, life-affirming Max MSP tutorial. Where are we? Well, last time we actually did one of these, it was 2 months ago almost. I think it's been because I've actually been away. I've been in Paris teaching a Max MSP course, and because of that, maybe I haven't actually had a need have felt the need to make a video, but now the course is over, and not that there's not plenty to do in Paris, but what can I say? I have some kind of mild mental disorder that I need to talk about Max all the time. But you know what? So much the better, man. It could be a lot worse. So let's get into it. Let's talk about one of my favorite things that we never talk about: Max and processing. Processing, another phenomenal creative coding environments for making generative visuals and doing all kinds of cool stuff. The last time I made a processing in Max tutorial was over a year and a half ago, so we're certainly overdue for one. And in this one, I want to look at taking a sound in Max, analyzing it to look at the energy in the low, medium, and high frequencies, different parts of the sound, and then mapping those to some visual effects in processing. Doesn't that sound exciting? It certainly sounds exciting to me, so let's get right into it, shall we? Let's start with the Max side of things. So we'll leave processing out of the picture for now and start with Max. So first thing we want to do is take a little pre-prepared audio sample here. Let's have a listen to that, see where that might be from. And maybe I have to be careful to play that in fewer than 4-second chunks so we don't get content ID matched. But in any case, there's our sound. And now what we want to do is take it, break it down, analyze it. So one way you might analyze the sound, you could reach for your low pass filter, grab your high pass filter, stick them on there, split the sound up. That would work, that would be fine, but there's maybe if not better, at least slightly easier way to do this kind of thing. And we get to look at the new Max 7 package manager, so why not talk about one of my absolute favorite packages that I've been using since even before it was a package, the ZSA. So come to the second page, and then the very last one, last but not least, ZSA Descriptors by Michael Malt and Emmanuel Jordan. Emmanuel Jordan, aka EJ, fellow Cycling 74 employee and all-around stand-up guy. So yeah, go ahead and download this ZSA Descriptors package, and yours, of course, will say install. Mine says disable trash because I already have it installed. But then once you've got it installed, come into your patch and drop in an object called ZSA.EZ_bark. And what ZSA.EZ_bark does is it takes the sound and calculates what are called the bark coefficients. These are 24 coefficients. If we make, let's make a multi-slider and then set the number of, actually just set the range to be from 0 to 50. And then connect this to EZBark and turn on this audio sample. So you can see that this EZBark thing, what it's doing is it's calculating 24 different coefficients describing the energy and different bands of the sound. And the reason that the bark thing is so useful here is because those values are all scaled according to human loudness perception. So, since we're making visuals that should look kind of like they go with the sound, it makes sense to treat the sound as if it were being listened to by a human being, since, I hope I speak for all of us when I say that we are human beings. So that's EZBark, and it's going to make a very easy job of splitting the sound up for us. Of course, this has split the sound into 24 bands, and we maybe only want 3. So all we have to do is take this list and divide it into 3 different ranges. To do this, why not use an object called ZL.Slice? You've probably heard of the ZL.Slice object, but the idea with ZLSlice is if you send it a list, you can split the list at a specific list index, and it will give you half of the list out the left inlet and the other half out the right inlet. So ZLSlice here If we feed this into another ZLSlice like this, then over here we'll have the lowest part of the list, over here the middle part, and over here the high part of the list. And right now we haven't configured either of these ZLSlice, so we're getting all of the everything's coming out here at the high part of the list. But now, for example, if I say set this ZLSlice to be like 5 and this one to be 12, well, now you can see that we've got the bottom 5 here, the middle 12 over here, and everything that remains up here on this side of the ZLSlice. And of course, we don't need to set these with 2 integers. We could just as easily set this with an R slider. If we're just careful to make the range of this R slider to be 24, because there are 24 bark coefficients. And then we'll just make the bottom equal to the bottom here, and subtract the top from the bottom to get the difference between the two. And now this R slider lets us divide the frequency range into low, everything above this band, medium, everything within this band, and high, everything above this band. So just like that, using R slider, EZBark, and ZLSlice, we've got 3 different frequency ranges here. And so what we can do is just take these lists of numbers and take their average to get a picture of the energy in that particular frequency. Maybe it makes more sense to take the sum, actually, come to think of it. But I've already done a lot of this patch using the mean. So let's just use the mean for now. To get the mean, it's easy. You just use an object called mean. The only downside to mean is that if you send mean a single number, it calculates a running average. So we actually only want to go through mean if what's coming out of ZLSlice is a list. So we're going to use an object called route type, or no, sorry, type route. Yeah, type route tilde. Type route tilde just lets you, it gives you a different outlet for if what comes into it is a list versus what comes into it is a float. So we only want to go through mean if it's a list, otherwise just pass the float straight through. And then at the bottom here, let's make a slider just so we can see the output. And let's make the range of this slider, make sure it's float output, and make the range 25. So now, if I take this type root, mean, float, and slider here, and just duplicate this a couple of times, let me move the whole patch over a bit. Okay, let's start playing this back. That may have been more than 4 seconds. I hope this video still goes up. But you can see we divided this into low, medium, and high. And you can play around with this a little bit to get a better picture of the sound. Maybe we want more high here. Anyway, you can play around with that and see how that affects the distribution of these different energy values here. Anyway, we're almost done with the max part. The only thing left to do now is send that over to processing. So before we do, let's switch over to processing and get it ready. So processing, remember everything in processing. There's 2 loops: the setup void. Oh, let's save this first. Let's save this as let's see. It wants me to save things in processing, and let's just call this super circle thing. A nice descriptive name so we can find it later and know exactly what it does. Super circle thing. Right, processing. So you've got 2 functions, void setup and void draw. Setup is, of course, where you set things up, and draw is where you draw them. There's also, you can do one called void settings. I forget what the restrictions are on settings, but settings comes even before setup and then draw. So in settings, you could do, okay, so processing. First thing we need to do is, let's get something drawn. Let's actually get something drawn, and then we'll come back and fill in some blanks. So what I want to do, black background, draw a bunch of circles on top of it. So to draw, first we need a window, a place to draw. So to do that, let's look at my cheat sheet. Oh yeah. So first we set the size of the window. Size, I'm gonna go with 600, 600. And you can also set the rendering target here, and or the rendering type rather. And I'm gonna set this to P3D. You don't have to, well, maybe you have to, I don't know. Just do it, I guess, and then if it, you can always change it if it doesn't work. And then in setup, maybe in settings you can also let's set the frame rate to 60 as well. Can you tell that I'm not as good with processing as I am with Max? So in processing settings, you set the size at 600 by 600 and the frame rate to 60. Now in setup, what we want to do is actually set up our P5. So, sorry, by P5 I mean OSC. So if you remember from the last video, we had to add the OSC P5 library to processing. If you don't remember how to do that, go back and watch tutorial 55 called Deception. But now, since we've already done that, we can come down over to Sketch, Import Library, OSC P5, and this will import the net P5 and OSC P5 things here. So now we actually need an object, or some space rather, to store P5. So let's make a thing here called OSC P5 and call it Oscar. And then down in setup, Oscar equals new OSC P5, and it takes as argument this, right? Yeah, this and the port we want to listen on. So let's listen on port 2338. And then I'm going to make a function to listen to the low, medium, and high values from Max. So we're going to use plug. So you do oscar.plug this. And then the way that plug works is you take the name of the function you'd like to be called in processing, in addition to the message where Max should send its message in order to have processing handle it. So we'll make three functions here, one called low that will listen to messages with the address low, one called mid that will listen to messages sent to address mid, and one called, you guessed it, high, that will listen to messages sent to high. It's getting really loud outside. It's been soccer season here, and the street that I'm staying on right now happens to be the football capital of the city. People have been very, very excited about the football. Setup, draw. Cool, so that's all gravy. Now down here, let's make some new functions. So void low. The function name here has to be the same as this message here. Float low. And for now, we'll just print line low plus low. And just to make sure this works, I'm going to run this. Null pointer exception. Okay, you can't do frame rate inside settings. I guess you have to do it inside setup. Cool, so now this thing is running. It's not drawing anything, but that's fine. It is listening. You can see down here, OSCP5 is running, listening on 2338, add pattern low for method low. Sweet. So in Max, that means that we need to make a new object called, so we need to deal with OSC. So of course the object to do that is called UDP send with the arguments localhost, because we're sending to this same machine. And the port number is what we set in processing, so 2338. And then all we gotta do is make a message box /low $1 for low, 1 for mid that we'll call mid, and 1 for high that we will call high. I think it's, yeah, /high. Sweet. Sweet. And now, if I play this loop and check the processing window at the same time, oh, look at that. Look at that. The low values are coming into processing. How outrageously exciting. I can feel my whole skin tingling. Sorry, that was a bit much. Let's dial it back. Let's return to the safe abiological digital realm and draw some circles. So it is processing, and so what could be more unoriginal, more different from all other processing sketches? We're going, of course, to draw a whole bunch of circles in a grid. So first thing you want to know if you're drawing circles in a grid, how many circles are you going to draw? So let's make a variable up here called int grid size and set it equal to 7. And also let's make a float, call this circle size, set this equal to 10. And now down in our draw code, we're going to draw a grid of circles. And so, of course, we're looking for, that's right, 2 nested for loops. So for int I is 0, I less than grid size, I plus plus. And within that, for int j equals 0, j less than grid size, j plus plus. Cool, so that's going to walk through each column and each row. And now we want to put a circle right at that center point. So we're going to first pick the x and y coordinate for that circle. Float px equals I over, I times width, which is the width of the window, divided by grid size. And actually come over here and where I wrote I, actually do I plus 0.5. Don't ask questions about why you want to add 0.5 to I. Just trust me. And then also we'll do now float py is j plus 0.5 times height divided by grid size. And then finally we'll actually draw the circle. Another name for circle is ellipse. Px py circle size. Very exciting. So this is going to draw that circle in a big grid. And so, of course, we also need to set the color of the circle. So we'll do, first we set the background color. So we'll do background, let's make it black. And then here we'll do no fill, because we just want to draw the outline of the circles. And then we'll do stroke 255. So we'll draw some nice white circles. Let's run this again and see if we get the circles. Lo and behold, we get a whole bunch of very lovely circles. And this is, so you can see that the circles look a little bit jaggedy. That's because I picked the P3D rendering engine up here. But because they're jaggedy, we'll also get to draw a whole bunch more of them. So trade-offs. I think more circle. I'm definitely a quantity over quality type person. Just ask any previous romantic partner. You didn't deserve that, I'm sorry. Cool, setup, draw, we have circles, very exciting. We can set the circle size, but let's be honest, circles in the grid, it's pretty boring. We need to make these circles do something. We need to make them move. So first thing that we can do is, of course, modulate maybe the size of the circle. Let's make these circles change size. So down here where we have this low function, how about instead of just printing out low, we actually make the circles grow and shrink. So to do that, of course, we can just change the circle size. So low circle size equals, and now this is one of the more important functions in processing, this function called map. Map is the same as the max scale object, almost exactly the same. But don't think that you can, the scale function in processing does something completely different. It's actually map that does the mapping from one range of numbers to another range of numbers. It's different from what map is in almost any other programming language, but that's here nor there. including Java, and processing's written in Java. Sorry, I'm gonna calm down, and we're gonna focus on the map function, which really is very helpful. It takes the initial argument is the value we're passing in, and then what we'll get out is a value mapped to a new range given an input range. So these low values over here go from about, just from having watched this before, I noticed they go from about 0 up to 25. And interesting values for our ellipses maybe go from 1 to about 100. So let's just try this out and see if we like what we see. So here are our circles at size 0 floating in this empty space. And now if I play this sample, you can see those circles bumping up a bit in response to low frequency sound, which is very cool. Okay, so we've got the circles, they're growing, that's pretty neat. But how are we going to use this high frequency sound? Surely we can do something cool with that. And to do that, why not add just a little tiny bit of noise, shall we? Maybe to the X position here, let's add a little bit of noise to that. So how about we do plus random value, I think, can you do random, can you do this? Random plus, oh my god, type the word random. Random minus 1, 1. Will that work? Yes. So this gives us a random number in the range minus 1 to 1. And let's multiply this by the ellipse size. And then multiply this again by a new value I haven't created yet called noise size. Oh, we don't have, sorry, it's called circle size, not ellipse size. So random minus 1 to 1 times circle size times noise size. And then up here, let's define a new value, float noise size. And let's call this, for now, well, 0. Doesn't matter, because it's going to be set. Let's call it 2. How about? And give this a run. So you can see these things are wiggling around in the X direction a little bit. But then as we play this sound, the wiggling is proportional to the ellipse size, which is kind of neat. But we want that wiggling only to happen when there's some high frequency sound. So let's come down here and actually fill in the high frequency here. Void high float high. Is that okay? Can this be the same name? Yeah, it's fine. And let's map this high up here to noise size. So maybe let's do noise size equals map high. I noticed from looking over here in the patch that high goes from about 0. And then an interesting range of values for this noise size is probably like 0 up to about 10 max. So let's give this a try. Okay, pretty neat. But unless we do a little, I want to see a little bit more of that noise. I don't think we're quite getting enough of it. So what I'm going to do, which actually will seem a bit crazy, is I'm actually going to add a new parameter up here called redundancy and set it equal to 5. And I'm actually going to draw each one of these circles 5 times just by adding another for loop in here, because why not, man? If you can add 1 for loop, why not add 3 for loops? Int k is 0, k less than redundancy, k plus plus. And then this will just draw each circle 5 times because we set redundancy, if I could spell redundancy, equal to 5. And what this will do is, because each one of those redundantly drawn circles will get a different value for noise, it'll make the noise a bit more prominent for each circle. So you can see what that looks like here. Kind of cool. So with that done, the last thing we want to do is play with the, so we played with the x value, we made these things have some noise in their x value, but why not mess around with the y value a little bit as well? Surely that could be something, there could be something interesting to do there. But instead of adding noise to the y value, I'm going to add the results, I'm going to add a sine wave to them so that the y values of these things can move up and down in a nice calming fashion. So to do that, I'm going to define a new parameter up here called sine distance, or let's call this sine position, and set this equal to 0, and float sine speed, and set this equal to 0.2. And what I'm going to do is, every time I draw, I'm going to, well, first of all, what I'm going to do down here to alternate this py position is add to it the ellipse circle size times the sine of I plus the sine speed. And, oh, sorry, not sine speed, the sine position. And what this is going to do is give each one of these circles a little wiggle that's going to increase with every frame, because this sine position here, I'm going to add to it after every single time we draw, so that the circles, as we go frame to frame to frame to frame to frame, are going to wiggle up and down a little bit. So I'm going to do that after we've done all our drawing. We'll do sine position plus equals, so that adds the current value of sine, sets the value of the sine position to be the current value plus some new value, which will be sine speed. Oh yeah. And now let's give this one more run and see if we like it. So now you can see a little bit of wiggling going on here, just a hint, the faintest bit of wiggling. Let's see, as the circles get bigger, we should see some more interesting stuff happen. So you can see that these circles are wiggling up and down, which is good, I guess. And you can see they kind of have this little wave up here, kind of has a little frequency associated with it. And that frequency is going to be proportional to the sine speed down here, because it's how much they're wiggling each frame. So what I'm going to do, actually, is down here, we're going to assign the sine speed to the middle values. So we'll do void mid, float mid, and then do sine speed equals. And let's do like map mid 0, 4, 0, 4. I guess that's not a very interesting map, but we'll see what that does. So let's just go ahead and run this and see if we like what we see. I think that's pretty neat. There's like some kind of evolving textures that come out of this, and they sort of depend on what seems to me like the low, medium, and high parts all kind of work together to contribute to the overall effect. And then once you got to this point, there's a lot of, I mean, in my opinion, once you get to this point, it gets super addicting. It's very easy to get sucked into this thing and just constantly change stuff. So like one thing that you can do, for example, is instead of just setting the background color to black, you can actually draw transparent black over the top of the screen. And this gives you a little bit of ghost trails. So instead of doing background 0 here, we could do no stroke, fill 0, 10, or 0 maybe like 50. And this is the alpha value, 0 for no alpha, 255 for full alpha. And then rect to draw a rectangle that starts at the origin and goes width and height to fill the screen. So you can see what this looks like when we have a little bit of trail on these circles. It's sort of like I think there's definitely an analogy to be drawn, I think, between Like everything sounds better with delay, and I think that everything looks better with a little bit everything sounds better with reverb, and everything looks better with a little bit of I guess that's kind of a visual delay, a visual reverb, huh? What else can you do? So you could change the this grid. You can make it super dense, like maybe 15 instead of 7. See how that looks. I hope it'll run at this. Let's see if it runs. Yes, that's kind of interesting. That might be better if you turn the redundancy down. Let's see that. You could also try making maybe make these circles much bigger, like, I don't know, 1,000 instead of 100. What does that look like? Yeah, see, so it's just, oh, sorry, I lost it. Yeah, so this nonsense, I mean, once you get started in this, it's a good base. You can just start, you can come in here and tweak parameters till the cows come home, as it were, and you'll never run out of things to do. So how long has this tutorial been? Oh my God, 30 minutes. Well, I'm curious to know if this kind of thing would be more useful if it were split into parts, or if it's better all as one part like this. I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on how entertaining you find watching a man sitting alone in a room and programming. Hopefully it's more interesting than, I don't know, sitting in a room and doing nothing. In any case, there's some value for you, I hope, and a little insight into how you can get processing and Max to work together the way God intended. Let's be honest. So thanks again for watching, and I hope that the next time we do a processing and Max video won't be in a year and a half, but a little bit sooner than that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.